Yeah. First of all, I think Cinefamily actually come out tonight and participate. Being a big Kung Fu movie fan, it's actually hard to see these films on the big screen. So I gotta stick with my, my DVDs and all that. So I'm thrilled to be here tonight to see this film. The film we're gonna watch tonight is called 36 Chambers of Shaolin. It is also known by the title Master Killer, and it stars Gordon Liu. And I chose this film for a couple of reasons. I think we'll talk about it later. But you notice in the Shaw Brothers libraries, they have three main key directors to me that really were the epitome of their catalog. One being Chang Che, one being Sun Tzu, right? But the third actually being a true martial artist who always wanted to incorporate real martial skills and his famous Hung Gar style into his films, and that's La Ka Lung, also pronounced La Ka Liang. He's the big brother to Gordon Liu. He adopted him. I had a chance to go to China and meet their brothers, and one of their, his classmate, was actually my Kung Fu instructor for the Man with the Iron Fist. So that's kind of crazy. And he was like, hey, you could beat Gordon. I was like, hold on, wait a minute, I can't do that. But anyway, this film, I think, touches upon many things about the genre, not just action. It goes into philosophy. Cinematography, I think, is great. Even if you was to remove the Kung Fu, I think we have a good film here. We're watching the subtitle version, right?
We're still
not sure.
I think it might be dubbed.
Okay, if it's dubbed, it's even crazier. But if it's subtitled, it does read well as well. So please enjoy 36 Chambers of Shaolin, The Master Killer.
So, you're by me, huh? And who are you? Me?
Co-programmer Tom. How you doing?
Well, I had nothing to do with the film. I'm just a fan of it. But I was glad to show it to an audience. And this film really did a lot of inspiration for me, for my music. The Wu-Tang first album is called Into the 36 Chambers. It's inspired by this film. And it's funny what I took from this film. I took so many things in the sense of, even the idea of a chamber became, like, to me, a daily thing. Like, every day you go through different chambers, whether if it's raining, well, it's raining outside, man. I ain't fucking with that chamber. You're in a good mood. We took all this, we took this into slang words and we applied it to everything we did. And then also in the film, you notice that he went through a lot of training, to get himself to this level of basically a super monk at the end of the movie. But the idea of training and perseverance or whatever you want to do and put in total focus, he would study at nighttime. And then I remember myself also being up many late nights studying, DJing, scratching for hours. My mother saying, turn it down, turn it down. But we kept going and striving because we wanted to be a master at what we was doing, you know what I mean? So, films like this can inspire you a lot, yo.
Totally. We were actually talking beforehand that where so many of us have cut our teeth in these movies, and like on the West Coast it was Black Belt Theater, Saturday afternoons. I don't know if you had that there, but he was assisting
in New York, Channel 5,
Channel 5,
drive-in movie,
right? I knew it. Yeah, okay.
With that like old '50s music.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, this. So, and we just maybe we wanted to get to the beginning of all this, like. You and your cousins, ODB.
ODB. Actually, today is his birthday.
Let's dedicate this to ODB for sure. But him, you, and the RZA, you all, just let me get this straight, like you guys would go to 42nd Street and watch these movies?
Yeah, first on 42nd Street in the mid to late 80s, they had theaters, grindhouse theaters, that would show triple features. And we would actually cut school and be inside the theater all day. You get there around 11, you can stay there until about 4, school day is over. You know, this film actually stayed, because they would rotate the films, like they'd show 3 and show them. And so this one I stayed and watched through twice.
Nice.
So that's how,
one day,
one day, yeah.
It's one of the classics. So, just to refresh on the history, it was the 3 of you guys were on together, the group on together, and then you guys went solo, you and the Genius. And I was just thinking about this, watching this movie and everything, that you guys had solo careers before Wu-Tang, didn't go so well for various reasons, and I just wanted to know, I'm assuming you were inspired by a lot of martial arts films when you guys were kind of down in the business and you were like, we got to really do something here. Just maybe, do you think there was a direct influence?
Oh, definitely a direct influence. The thing was, for us, really the most important thing that I think martial art will teach is to express yourself. And when me and the RZA first had our deals, I was signed to a Tommy Boy Records, he was signed to Cold Chillin', which was a Warner Brother distributor label. And at the time, you know, you had Young MC, MC Hammer, these are the biggest rappers, so they was really trying to gear every artist to be a cookie cutter artist based on, you know, what we're selling. And so RZA's first single was Girl Come Do Me. And he never got another song like that in his history of his career. My first single was Oh We Love You, Rakim.
With you on the cover in a cartoon,
yeah,
with the girls kissing you?
Yeah, the record executive, I think she thought I was kind of a handsome guy. She thought they could sell me on my looks and shit. But I was more into the ruggedness and the hardcore style. And actually, I tried to present Wu-Tang to Tommy Boy, but they didn't understand it, they didn't get it. But it wasn't until we went back and started our own, actually I started my own record company, me and my brother Devon, and we pressed up the records and sold them ourselves out of our trunks, and that led on to
Protect Your Neck.
Protect Your Neck, the first single ever.
This movie is sort of about that solo self-training and mastery, but the other movie you were going to pick, what kind of relates to this history, was Five Deadly Venoms, with Chang Che, which is very much about a group of people.
With different skills coming together, working together. We just thought maybe that was in the back of your mind, in the front of your mind, with Wu-Tang Clan? Like,
yeah, let me name a few other films that really inspired me. 36 Chambers was one. There's another one called Five Deadly Venoms. And then there's one called The Mystery of Chess Boxing. And then you have the 8-diagram pole fighter. And that's the one that really caused us to really become brothers and brotherhood. And we would walk around, I'm fifth brother, I'm second brother. You know what I mean? But the film we took our name from was called Shaolin versus Wu-Tang. And the reason why we used that particular name, for those who don't know the story, is because the Wu-Tang was considered the best sword style of martial art. And we said our tongue is our sword, and we have the best style. We're coming out to destroy the hip-hop industry. We had like a mission, we want to destroy everybody. They got to protect their neck. We're chopping off their heads. And you'll hear the titles of our song, Bring the Ruckus, Cutting Heads, Protect Your Neck. You know what I mean? Wu-Tang is nothing to fuck with. It's like, fuck that shit, you know what I
mean? Meanwhile, it was like the G-Funk era.
Yeah, right? Yep, on the West Coast they had the G-Funk era, which of course, great music. I mean, the funny thing about that is that I had a chance to talk to Snoop, and he told me that we had a similar lifestyle of what was going on. Out here, him and Daz was cousins, and Corrupt and these guys was best friends from school, so they really had a same kind of crew doing their sound of music while we was on the East Coast doing our sound. Parallel, totally opposite of the poles, but yet headed to the same direction. And that was kind of, for me to hear that, was like, wow, that's crazy to know that, you know, it was just similar energy, you know, around the country.
Well, as we came in and we were walking to the back, you just heard like one line in one of these movies, and like it was like someone who knows his gospel or something. Like you were like, oh, I know the movie and I know the next 9 lines. Which made me wonder, you know, you asked me on the phone too, like subbed versus dubbed. Right. Which do you prefer on this stuff?
Well, actually, this is an early dub version. So this is a version, whoever had this print has a very unique print. This is a print that was probably shown in Chinatown, where the dub actually is very close to the English dub. The modern dub of the Cantonese Mandarin language has been simplified so much that if you get any print from the 90s on, you're going to get a bad representation of English. As you notice in this one, they was using, you know, when the candle oscillate. I mean, that's a nice word right there. You know,
sophisticated.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it was translated mostly by British, you know what I mean?
The Hong Kong thing.
Yeah, the Hong Kong and the British connection.
Thankfully for all of us, they were legally required to subtitle films in Hong Kong in English. Right. So if you were kind of perusing the bootleg markets, you could still watch these movies.
Yeah. And this one, so this is a good subtitle. I prefer some of the dub ones of the Shaw Brothers because they always hired the same guy to do it. He's still alive. I met the guy.
Yeah, tell me about that.
We was going to use him for the male
guy. All the voices?
He does. Well, he's one of the. Yeah, he actually has like 5 lead voices. 5 of the lead characters is this guy. You can notice also, like...
Our next Q&A, by the way.
We gotta fly him out. Where is he, in Hong Kong?
He's in Hong Kong.
Well, let's fly him out.
If you look at, check a guy named Mike Leader. Mike Leader, he may help you, big Mike Leader, he'll help you find this guy.
Well, you know, the other reason I mention it is another thing that was sort of changing about the music that you brought was maybe instead of like doing sketches or sort of comedy bits in between the tracks, you were sampling these kung fu movies. So I presume there's a real love of some of those dialogue and monologues.
Yeah, the funny thing is that, you know, as a producer or a musician sometimes, you know, a musician always try to find the best line. Like if you're doing a scale, you try to get the best part of the scale or whatever, you know, make the best melody. When it came to making the sampling kung fu movies, I would sample things that really, those one-liners may have not tied into the whole theme of the movie. Or even the one-liners you hear from the song. We have a song called Cash Rules Everything Around Me, Cream Get the Money. But originally that song was called As Long As I Got You by the Charmels. Right. You know what I mean? So we was able to take, you know, small ideas and then put them in a different context that made them bigger. There's one film that we sampled that's probably the worst film you can watch. I tried to watch it the other day with one of my buddies. You know, I know the whole film by heart, so it's kind of embarrassing, but it's called Dragon on Fire, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now that's a terrible film, man. But the lines he said is great. He said, if he's asleep, then I'll wake him up.
Oh, yeah. With that crazy smiling dude. Yeah.
So the other dude had a line, he was like, my kung fu gets better every hour. Soon I'll be invincible. Every hour? So those one-liners, you know.
That's a Godfrey Ho movie.
Godfrey Ho.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah.
We've been wanting to have a Godfrey Ho.
Expect the best from Godfrey Ho.
Yeah, we got about 20 movies out there.
And most of them are the same movie, recut.
He would just, steal scenes from himself. He'd sample himself.
The funny thing about Godfrey Ho was that he was one of the directors who, you know, after the Bruce Lee sensation, he would look for the new Bruce Lee. He found that guy, they call him Dragon Lee. Yeah. And he would always put him in some kind of Bruce Lee situation to make his film. So the film could be based in, you know, 1700 China, and the guy would still pull out the new chucks and be like, making the Bruce Lee face. That was Godfrey Ho style.
Well, let's talk about a little bit about this movie in particular, Lau Kar-leung versus Chang Che, I suppose. I think you said it really right at the beginning, that one of the things that's great about Lau Kar-leung's contribution to kung fu movies, aside from the fact that he choreographed all those early Chang Che movies anyways, is that he really loved kung fu. Like sometimes in other kung fu movies, it could be gunfights, like the plot it would still work, but if you took the kung fu out of this, there's really no plot anymore. Like what kind of inspirations did you get from Lau Kar-leung now that you're directing versus say Chang Che with the heroic bloodshed?
Well, from him, if you look at the film, though, he was, you know, he put some authenticity inside the film. You know, the hung guard that they were doing when he went to the boxing style, that's a true style that exists. In fact, historically, the character who plays the first guy who he helped at the graveyard, his name is Hung Si Kwong. He's actually the father of Hung Gar. And this particular technique has started in Shaolin through this. Now, the monk Sante is actually a fictional character that was written in many Chinese literature about some of these other heroes. But there is a story that's historically correct about the monk leaving and teaching martial art to the world. And because he taught martial art to the world, it got the attention of the government, who eventually came and burned down Shaolin Temple. And Shaolin Temple has been burned down 3 times in history. And what Lau Kar Lung would do is he would capture moments that had reality based in it, and then of course he exaggerate it. And so when I was doing my film, I was thinking of how to set a fiction story in the middle of non-fiction times and bring characters that would have a non-fiction value to them, but it's totally fiction. So when we're going to show Iron Fist next, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, there's a character played by Russell Crowe called Jackknife. Now this character, during this period of time around 1840, the Opium Wars is big. The Boxer Rebellion is about 50 years away, and the British and the Chinese are going through war based on opium. But the technology of the West is starting to leak into China. They want to get Gatling guns. They want to get the weapons. And so our character is based on a guy who's hooked on opium, left behind by some British ship. During the same period of time, we have places like New York, or the America itself there was a lot of slavery still going on, and we had what was known as the East Indian Trading Company, and this company traded spices, of course, to the east, or traded slaves or whatever. And so there's the character, the blacksmith, whose history dates back to this. Now, of course, this world that we created, Jungle Village, is totally fictional. But to take it from Lau Kar, I try to drop non-fiction elements around it. I want to point out one other thing in the film. There's a Bessemer that's being used in this film. Now, Bessemer doesn't come out until maybe 1880. And this is where U.S. steel was able to heat steel to such a magnitude, to reach temperatures, that it became the strongest steel made, stronger than Japan, and we basically cornered the market with that. Now, the Bessemer is in this film 40 years early, because in order for the iron to be that strong, you must have some kind of, gadget. So these type of things, I would take from a director like this. But if you talk about somebody like Chang Che, which made movies like Five Deadly Venoms, Kid with the Golden Arm, One-Armed Swordsman, and many other films.
King
Boxer. He would always make his movies brotherhood and blood. You know what I mean? And he'll make it very fantasy. The Five Deadly Venoms is about a guy who has a lizard style who can stick to the wall. You know what I mean? And you're not going to see that in no kind of kung fu school, or you're not going to be able to do that style. That's basically taking it to the magic level. And yet, that inspires Iron Fist. That's why we have Brass Body, who's very similar to the Toad. But now that we have technology, and I like to say I'm also inspired by comic books and Star Wars and all that shit too, so I try to mix all that shit together.
Shang-Chi definitely has that superhero quality, and also I think the lineage that kind of goes through to John Woo, of a lot of characters, and yes, a lot of bloodshed. People, there's just jets of explosions. You'd be amazed at how bloody these movies are for 1971, 1970. I mean,
he had one movie he made called The Human Lantern, where the guy is just kidnapping women, skinning them alive, taking their skin to make a fucking lantern.
just like the title says. And you know what? We might actually, speaking of, we might have access to that print next January.
I wanted to show you, just maybe, because we were talking about nerdery. This is just kind of a nerdgasm moment. This is a copy I thought you might enjoy of the 200 prints that were just discovered.
Wow. On the top of the list, you have the 10 Tigers of Kwantung. Yeah. That's what we sampled, Oh God, I'll let you try my Wu-Tang style. In that movie. You got a lot of things.
But Human Lanterns is in here.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it.
Dragon Missile, Dragon Fist. Yeah. Dirty Hole.
Yeah.
We You know, Dirty Bastard.
I used to work in a video store. It was always entertaining when someone asked for that one.
Dirty Ho. We got Old Dirty Bastard, and his right-hand man, during that period of Wu-Tang, during the highlight of our career, his right-hand man every day was Dirty Ho. That was him. That was his drinking partner. I can't make this up. You got a lot of good ones in here. A lot of good ones. You know, you think of actors like Alexander Fushing. You know, they was considered him like they called him the James Dean of martial art movies and shit.
Well, you got to work. What about working with Gordon Liu, and then who was godson, or sort of a...
Yeah, he's an adopted son of La
Long. So did you get any stories, like behind-the-scenes stories from Gordon? Like it's always amazing to get to talk to your heroes and then like hear the inside scoop what it's like on the set.
Well, I got a lot of backstories that really blew my mind. I mean, like I said earlier, you know, La Long's brother, like it's only 8 students who learn from their master. And the one that is in every picture beside him, and he plays in movies like My Young Auntie, he had a cameo in this movie. He is the guy who they sat me there for 2 months to train Hung Gar style. Now this man is about 70-some years old, but I tell you, his arms was hard as fucking bricks. And he was wanting to, like, because of Hung Gar, you got to kick each other's in the shin, and you got to hit each other, you know, part of your arm to strengthen it up. And it's all about building this upper body. As you see, Gordon Liu had the rings on in the beginning. That's all part of Hung Gar training. And I'm telling you, this old man, yo, was fucking, I was like, what the fuck this guy made of, man? And he sent me back to my hotel many nights like, what the fuck?
My brother went to train in China for the last 10 years, actually.
Wow.
And I got to meet like his dad, I mean his master, who was like in the lineage of whatever general and stuff. And yeah, he did like a little demo where it was like trying to push me, and it was kind of like trying to push water. Right. Like he just like, and the guy was like 75 and totally ass-kicking him.
That's
so what was it like to get to go film in China?
For me, I got to be honest with you. It's almost surreal. It's almost a dream come true. You know, I mean, if I didn't practice and study and do the things I did, you know, to get there, it would be totally unbelievable. But I know that I did put a lot of time preparing myself. But to be sitting there in front of Gordon Liu, Chen Quan Tai from Executioners from Shaolin, we had the famous actor Beardy, who played in many of the movies. First movie is Warriors 2, the first time they showed Wing Chun in the film. To have these guys who I was fans of, you know, and to have them come and work for me was just crazy, y'all. And they treat you so respectable as a director. They so, you know, they humble. And this guy with Chen Quan Tai and Gordon was like, in 10 years they did 60 movies in 10 years time. I'm like, how the fuck? Listen, and he don't remember every movie they made. I was telling him about movies, he didn't remember shit. You know what I mean? And I had to show him, because I bought a collection with me, I would show him the box, and there's another director, another actor, whose name is Chi Kwang. He played 5 Masters of Shaolin, Death Chambers, Heroes 2. He's always beside Fushing, but this particular guy, when I showed him one of his movies that he did, and his name was changed on the fucking cover and everything, he cried because he said his daughter, you know, he has family, and they don't know about his history. They don't know about things he did, and he was just impressed that somebody on the other side of the world was familiar with his work and revered it. You know what I mean? So it was crazy.
How much is left of the community from the Shaw Brothers studio?
The studio is now a TV studio, right. So they produce a lot of TV shows. They sold out to a TV station. There still is a community of they call troops, you know, that...
They were all very close. You see them work together over and over again. That's one way you make so many movies like that.
Exactly. And they still have, like, Philip Kwok, who played the Lizard, who also helped John Woo in Better Tomorrow. He has, you know, he has like 50 men. Even La Lung, he has like 150 students that they still get jobs, and they throughout, you know, some of the movies we were watching are their disciples doing the stunt work. In this film, there was a scene when Gordon Liu had first learned the Kung Fu boxing style, and the old man who was teaching him was Simon Yung, Jackie Chan's teacher, and the father of Wu Ping. You know what I mean? So we're looking at Wu-Tang's father here on the screen, and yet in the 2000s, we were watching The Matrix, and we were watching his action choreograph, you know, blow the world mind, you know, and Kill Bill.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Yuen Wu-Tang is probably the world's greatest action choreographer. Who did actually come to Hollywood to do movies like this.
Yes, and he done
You know,
movies.
but you worked with, probably if you're going to make any argument for what I think is perhaps the other world's greatest choreographer, Corey Yuen, also a director, who did like Legend of Feng, so you have to fight where they're jumping on the people's heads, and like such an imaginative, fast.
Yeah, Corey, who came on board to help me, they call him one of the four jewels of China. You know what I mean? And he was he was great. The act, when you see when you watch Iron Fist, you'll notice, you know, some of the classic Jet Li style action. You'll notice some of the Chang Chase style action. We got Dave Bautista in the fucking movie, so I had to make sure I got some WWE in that motherfucker. I just fucking pick you up and break your back, shit. You know what I mean? But no, but Corey did a lot of movies that I was fans of, and there's one particular film he did with Jet Li, when Jet Li had put the blindfold on and all the leaves was falling in the alley. I think that's Funk See You too. And
I haven't seen Funk See You too.
Yeah, well, anyway, and I was like,
he just always struck me as being one of the most imaginative. Like,
yeah,
you know, like,
and we imitated that scene in our own way in the final sequence of Iron Fist. So you'll see some Corey magic come out. You'll see some Chang Chase magic come out. And you'll have some fun.
Well, tell us a little bit, as you kind of like moved from making music to working in films. How did you come to meet Tarantino and work on Kill Bill and the Weinsteins? Like, how did that begin to happen?
The beginning of that started being a kung fu, as they call it, expert of the genre and everything. When Quentin bought the movie Iron Monkey, he brought it to America. Now for us, that movie was 10 years old. I knew it already, the subtitles by heart and shit, you know what I mean? And Harvey Weinstein wanted it to promote it and do a screening in New York on 42nd Street. And I guess he talked to his staff. He said, well, who can we get to host the screening? He's like, hey, get the RZA. You know what I mean? He knows this shit. And so they got me, and they offered me, you know, a nice sum of money to do it. No. I told him, keep the money. I told Harvey, I don't need the money. I just respect you being from New York and being a guy who made it into this business. Him and his brother, me and my brother have a similar story. We was just two guys on Staten Island selling newspapers, and we was able to make it through and, you know, make success for our family. So I just admired that New York spirit about him. And so I said, just meet me for lunch one day and we're cool. I'm cool. And so when I did the screening, I got the real Shaolin Temple to come in and do a demonstration to show true martial arts as well. Because I'm part of my whole school came, about 60 students there. And it was just a success, and that led on to a big press junket. And the press junket, they had Donnie Yen there, Quentin Tarantino, and myself. And I guess me and Quentin, they got into a conversation about Donnie, because Donnie didn't even know all the movies he was in. And me and Quentin is like, you know, I think Legend of the Wolf is better than when Funk See You won when you was the enemy, or no, when you came back with Fist of Fury, the 10 TV episode with Donnie. I was like, what the fuck you guys talking about? And me and Quentin just started naming more shit, and then I started naming. Wait, did you see this one? Then he started naming shit. It became like that kind of, yeah, who know the most shit. You know what I mean? But you know, Quentin was a fan of Wu-Tang, and I'm a fan of his movies and shit. And so we kind of just caught a camaraderie. I talk faster. It's just be popular, but we caught a friendship with just watching films together. And Harvey would let us use the Miramax screening room. And we'd sit there, smoke a little bit, watch movies. And that led on to a friendship, and, you know, it led on to a friendship, and led on to me recognizing his genius as a filmmaker, his encyclopedia, not just of martial arts films, but many things. And I asked to become his student. Without bringing no tea to him, nothing like that. It was like, here's a tea. Asked to teach me.
Please, your training rituals. You have to look at 2 movies at once.
But let's make we watch many movies together, and I think the best way to learn anything, man. Music, guys, listen to music. I go to musical genius guys like John Frusciante, and he listens to the record songs over and over and learn how to play them, and then he freed his mind to now create music. The same thing with film. You know, you look at Eli Roth, my co-writer of the film. You know, people think that, you know, Eli is just a horror guy. No, this guy is a cinemaphile. You know what I mean? And the same for myself. This is my favorite genre, Kung Fu. But yesterday I watched The 7-Year Itch. It's like Bill Wilder, that's right. Which I thought it was Gene Wilder's family, but it's no relation. I did my research. Yeah. But I'm saying this, you know, this cinemaphile thing we have, this love of film we have, you know, is definitely entertaining. But if you want to be in the business, you got to know your craft. And there's so many great things that exist that's informative, and I just took heed to that, and I continue to study it until, you know, until I can make one that somebody can be like, that's going to be one of my favorite films of all time. Like how Godfather is to me, it's like a gospel when I watch The Godfather. You know what I mean? I want to one day make a film that people could put in their DVD collection or whatever format we get in the future and be like, I got to watch this again. I got to keep watching this because it resonates.
Like a great record or something. Yeah.
Well,
So yeah, I would say you're in the right place because this is kind of a temple.
It sounds like we have a similar idea. We've had a good time smoking a little bit in Washington. So what did you, having the opportunity to have this apprenticeship a little bit, like to have friends who have, you know, gone down roads you hadn't gone as far down, what did you learn from like Eli Roth and Tarantino?
Man, that's so much to explain and say. It's just a lot, you know what I mean? But I could just, but you know, if I could give a few words of preparation, you know, is one of the key things to, you know, anything. You know, even when we come here tonight, you have to prepare the theater, put things up for us to come and have a comfortable time here, you know. And that's something that a lot of people overlook, you know, because being spontaneous is a natural thing for artists, but preparation will really lead to more success. And so, you know, when there was landmines in front of me, you know what I mean, I had to make the decision to step on it, to jump over it, or to go around it. But having somebody like Eli Roth with me, I may have, at least it was pointed out. Like, it's just a fucking landmine, Bobby, what you gonna do? And sometimes I'm like, man, I'm stepping on that motherfucker. You know, I don't do this. Sometimes, you know, you avoid it. I want to point something out about this movie, 36 Chambers, real quick. Remember the scene, because this is one thing to me, it inspired so much, it inspired the scene in my film. Do you remember the scene when Gordon Liu first gets the axe for Kung Fu? He said he wants to start at the top, and he goes in there where all the monks are just chanting the sutras. Okay, when I asked Gordon to be in the film, you know, he didn't agree to be in the film. It wasn't, you know, he had things to do, and when I told him what I wanted him to do, I explained to him that I don't want the master killer. I want you to be that old man that was sitting there in the 35th chamber who gave out for this whole film maybe 1 minute of philosophy. And through that philosophy, what he was saying how, you know, the 5 tones deafen our ears, the 5 colors blind our sight. Without wisdom, there is no gain. And in a dub version, I heard that when I was younger. And that made me go and read books and started studying more about the Asian culture beyond just enjoying the films. And I know how much it inspired me, and basically because of me, my whole family, Wu-Tang, Method Man, all these brothers' families was able to make it out of poverty, you know what I mean? And so I asked Gordon, could he come in my movie and be a character like that maybe some kid will see this shit, and maybe we'll make another guy like this, man. You can say yes.
I don't want to take up all the time myself, so I want to give the audience a chance to ask a couple questions, Bobby, too. You want to turn the lights up on the top? Does anybody have any questions before we take a drink?
All the
way in the back.
You worked on Ghost Dog in music for that. It's one of my favorite films of all time. And by the way, awesome work. Thanks for doing that. Has Jim Jarmusch seen your film, and does he dig it?
Yeah, Jim came to the New York screening. Jim was my introduction into film, film world, period. I always thank him for giving me the opportunity. But he did come to the screening. At the end of the screening, he was happy, he was proud of me, hugged me. But we had a few other guys there. He wound up leaving with John Frusciante. I didn't see him. Shit. But he called me 2 days ago. And it said, I didn't get a chance to tell you, I love the film. I said, I love it. He said, he went on for like 10 minutes and I just told him, you know, that meant so much to me, you know, for Jim to, you know, to dig the film. And that's it. I was like, yeah, motherfucker. Fuck the critics, I'm with Jim, yo. Yeah.
Over here?
Being a director and dealing with landmines, it's all about kind of keeping your heart rate low and breathing straight. In dealing with those landmines on this movie, how did you calm yourself to think clearly when those landmines happen?
I'm just going to repeat the question to make sure everyone can hear it. He asked about the landmines in directing and how does one kind of keep your cool and stay calm when you're facing those kind of challenges?
Now, for me, I've got a slight advantage. Is I worked with Wu-Tang Clan for 20 years. Right?
All landmines.
Exactly. I learned to fucking keep it calm and shit. But the funniest thing I can say, and I don't want to be like quoting names like that, but what Russell Crowe said on the set, he was like, Bobby, you fucking is driving this ship so smooth and calmly. And he was impressed because he said, usually when you get to a set that you've been 40 days in, well, 35 days in, but usually by then everything is disgruntled, everybody's fucking edgy and shit is like that. And yet my whole team, and we had 400 people with only 17 English speaking, and the rest was Chinese speaking.
And you're starring in the film while directing.
Yeah, I want to talk about all that shit. But the funny thing was, we did take away their Chinese New Year, which is for them, you can't do that, yo. And the producer came to me, and it was, you know, our budget, we had to keep going. So all I could do was give them a weekend off, or 3 days off. And they came to me, and she said, you know, they like you, Bobby. All the people like you. But they are really hurt about Chinese New Year. And nobody's going to tell you, but I'm going to let you know they really hurt. And you need to think of something to do to show them that you appreciate them staying here for you. And so, I mean, the producers talked about it, and Eli, being a good buddy who experienced mid-term crisis, shall we say, he said, well, what we did on Glorious Bastards, Quentin just showed the crew, the cast and crew, some of the footage, what we was doing. And it built their spirits up. I was like, all right, go fucking edit some of this shit together, and we're going to throw a big banquet dinner, and we threw a banquet dinner where even the transportation guys was there, you know what I mean? And about 1,000 people eating. We did fireworks, like, whoosh. I mean, it was big. It was fucking, the producers emptied some money on that, which is respectful. And then we showed them about 3 minutes cut together of the first 5 weeks of filming, and they cheered, they clapped. They were so fucking happy. And then I had an after party in Shanghai for all you could drink. Got on stage, I rapped, Eli danced. You know what I mean? We had the pretty Asian girls loose that night. And we got back 3 days later, back to work, and we went through it. So, to answer your question, you know what I mean? you definitely, yeah.
I'm going to remember that next time I have a...
No, you gotta stay calm.
Does anybody have a time machine and an airplane?
My DP did say this to me. He's let's get this next one. My DP did say though, it's out of 20 years of working in the film, he has never come across a more calmer director, and he was proud. You know, I mean, to work with me, and he got my back.
We got time for just a couple more. Over there.
Yeah, you and RZA have my favorite scene in Coffee and Cigarettes. So I'm just wondering about how was that experience, and had you met Bill Murray before that?
No, I actually have not. I met him, you know, before we shot the scene, but it was the experience of Jim that, you know, that allowed me to meet him. So it was just cool. I was not familiar with acting. I mean, I was being myself. I was already high too. This shit. But Jim Jarmusch is a very smart man. He had already observed me and RZA in our own environments. And so the dialogue he was choosing, you know, like far as, you know, me being a health guy and, talking about herbal medicines, and he mentioned Sophia and seafood. That is my seafood, and Sophia was his wife. So he took real life, put it in our mouths, and then he got Bill Murray to do his shit. You know what I mean? And I think the contrast of us. But Bill Murray did. We became friends. He has since then seen RZA more than me. But every time he's with RZA calls me up the next day and like, yeah, Bill left me toe up because he can outdo us. You know what I mean? So he can outdo us.
Duly noted. All right. It's getting dark back there, but I think right about there. I feel like I'm not ignoring the left.
Beard. Oh yeah. You said you chose like Hungar Fist for Iron Fists. Is there any other like kung fu styles that you wanted to use, like Wing Chun or Tai Chi? But
well, for Iron Fist, I didn't want to use real, true martial arts, actually. You know what I mean? I wanted to make it more like Chang Che, where it was fictional styles. The Hung Gar was actually chosen by Corey. He prescribed that to me. You know what I mean? And I think maybe one move of it come out in the whole fucking film. But the people that's in the film, you look at Kung Lee, he's a champion UFC fighter who knows many styles, and San Shou being his main style. The actor Rick Yoon, many years as a Taekwondo fighter. You know, Dave Bautista, he does Kali as well as wrestling. A lot of the men you see fighting around in the movie, we brought in the whole Beijing stunt team of martial artists who do, they call it Wushu now, but they do Bakwa, Xingyi, Eagle Claw. These kids are good. Actually, some of the same kids from the Karate Kid, we was able to get those guys in. And then we also brought in Jet Li's team. Corey brought, the guy who did all the Jet Li stunts, all those movies. He came and he brought a dozen guys with him, and these guys, it's just ridiculous. So it was a lot of real martial artists on the set, but I wanted the movie, and when you see it, I wanted it to be magical. I wanted it to be like, what stance is that? You know what I mean? That stance don't exist and shit. The swallow. What the fuck is that?
That's very Five Deadly Venoms too. These like made up styles
exactly.
that are like based around mythological.
We got the hyena style, the lion clan, the wolves, the rodents. You know what I mean? Yeah, the rodent clan is in the film and shit.
All right, I think we got time for one more question. Right here.
RZA, out of all the things that you've done, going back from 36 Chambers now to this movie, what to you has meant the most?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, creatively, artistically, 36 Chambers is the foundation, so that means the most to me because that is what got me on the world stage. As far as what's have taken the most mind power, most creative energy, Male the Iron Fist. And that's probably because I got a lot of hats on in this motherfucker, but it took a lot of mind power for this show. I know he asked about being a director, which is a whole thing within itself, being Captain Kirk of the ship, you know what I mean? But then, having to do the score for it and writing it and the costumes, I mean, it was just crazy. I mean, every little fucking speck, like you'll see some of these guys' hairs in the film, you'll be like, well, why are the hairs like that? Well, I was like, well, that's what the fuck I wanted. I had to argue for this, because I'm dealing with some people that didn't understand, and I'm dealing with their culture. They're like, well, we don't wear our hair like that. I said, no, this movie is not real. It's not real, and they can have their hair like this. You know what I mean? That was inspired by Japanese animation anyway, the hairstyles. But to answer your question, I look to do more great things and keep building. You know what I mean? I'm glad that there's been people in the world that has accepted my art. You know what I mean? It's really helped my life, and I think helped many people's lives. You know what I mean? When we accept art and we appreciate the time that people put into it, the funniest thing I could say is that even a film like this, made in 1978, maybe it took this guy 2 years to do this thing. And we get to see 2 years of work flash by in 95 minutes, we go see movies and, some movies cost up to $100 million to be made. And it's just 2 hours of time that it's congested to. So we all appreciate when people watch it, enjoy it. I appreciate when you pay the price for the ticket, only because you take $10 against 100 million. You see that there's a big offset there. But more than anything, I like when art inspires, you know what I mean? It inspires goodness out of people and shit. And hopefully, you know, I got a bloody movie for you coming up. It's bloody, but it should spark some goodness.
Everybody, please give a big round of applause.
Thank you.
We're going to come back and watch the shit out of this movie we worked so hard on. You guys want to come join us in the patio? We got some beers out back. We're going to take a little break. We're going to be right back.